I remember the exact moment my life split into before and after. It wasn't dramatic, no screaming, no breaking glass. Just a quiet sentence my stepmother whispered while smiling at guests. Don't worry after tonight. She won't be a problem anymore. I was standing right behind her.
She didn't know.
I didn't react. That's the first rule I learned the hard way. When people think you're weak, invisible, harmless, they show you everything. I stayed quiet, held my glass, smiled like nothing happened,
And watched.
because my life had already taught me one thing. Pain is information, and I was about to use it. You see, my life was never normal. My real mother died when I was 9. Car accident, they said, but I remember something no one else talks about. The night before she died, she hugged me tighter than usual and whispered, "If anything ever feels wrong, trust your silence." At 9 years old,
I didn't understand.
at 23, I finally did. After her death, my father changed. Not slowly, instantly. He remarried within 6 months. Too fast, too clean, too planned. Her name was Semina. Perfect smile, perfect voice, perfect lies. She never hit me, never shouted, never did anything obvious. That's what made her dangerous. Because real monsters don't scream. They calculate. At first, it was small things. My school fees forgotten. My birthday missed. My room slowly turned into storage, while her son got everything. Then came the stories. She told relatives I was difficult, teachers that I was unstable, neighbors that I was ungrateful. And slowly, without anyone realizing, she erased me. Except she made one mistake. She underestimated my silence. I stopped reacting, stopped arguing, stopped defending myself. Instead, I started observing, recording, remembering. Because when you don't fight back, people get comfortable. And when people get comfortable, they get careless. Years passed like that. Quiet war. No witnesses. No proof. Until last week. My father announced something at dinner. I've updated my will. My stepbrother smiled immediately. Semina didn't even try to hide hers. I just ate.
Slowly.
Carefully. Watching. Everything is divided fairly, my father said. Then he looked at me. For the first time in years. Really looked at me. You'll get something too. Something. Not equal. Not fair.
Just something.
I nodded, smiled, said nothing. Because I already knew. That same night, I heard them again, through the slightly open door. Samina's voice low, controlled. We can't risk her asking questions. My father hesitated. She's still my daughter. Silence. Then, her voice again.
Cold this time.
She was never yours. My hands didn't shake. My breathing didn't change. Because shock is loud, but understanding is silent. She's his, Semina continued, and if she finds out, everything collapses. Everything. That word stayed in my head all night. Everything. The next morning, I didn't confront them. I didn't cry. I didn't run. I did something else. I called a number I had kept for 14 years, hidden inside an old book my mother left behind. I never called it before, because I was afraid. But fear is expensive, and I was done paying for it. The phone rang twice. Then a man answered. He didn't say hello. He didn't ask who I was. He just said, "So, you finally called." My heart stopped, but my voice didn't. Yes. Silence on the other end. Then, a quiet laugh. I was wondering how long it would take. Take for what? I wanted to ask, but I didn't. Instead, I said something else. Something calculated. "I think my mother didn't die by accident." Another silence. Longer this time. Heavier. Then, "Good," he said. "Now you're asking the right questions." In that moment, everything changed. Because for the first time in my life, I wasn't reacting anymore. I was playing, and I was about to learn that my life was never mine to begin with. That night, I went back home, sat at the dinner table, smiled at Semina, looked my father straight in the eyes, and said calmly, "I want to meet the lawyer who handled Mom's will." The spoon fell from her hand. Just a small sound, but loud enough for me to know I had just made my first move. And this time, I wasn't the victim anymore. I was the threat. But what they didn't know, what no one knew, was that I already had proof. And the man on the phone wasn't just a stranger. He was the one person who had been waiting for me to wake up. And when I did, he gave me one sentence that changed everything. "Your mother didn't leave you money. She left you leverage. And leverage destroys people slowly." The next 72 hours, I didn't sleep. I dug, read, listened, connected pieces. And what I found was worse than I imagined. My mother wasn't just killed. She was removed. Strategically, legally, silently. And Semina wasn't just my stepmother. She was the replacement. Placed, planned, positioned. But here's the twist they never saw coming. They thought I was alone. They thought I was weak. They thought I had nothing. But I had something far more dangerous than money. Information. And now, so did someone else. Someone who knew my name before I spoke. Someone who had been watching, waiting, preparing for me. So when Semina came to my room that night, smiling, sweet voice, fake concern, "Beta, you've been quiet lately. Is everything okay?" I looked at her, really looked at her, and for the first time, I smiled back. Not politely, not weakly, but knowingly. "Yes," I said softly. "Everything is finally making sense." Her smile froze. Just for a second, but enough. Because that's the moment she realized something had changed. She just didn't know what. And that's exactly how I wanted it. Because the real game had just begun. And in this game, I wasn't trying to survive anymore. I was planning to win. But winning comes with a price. And what I was about to uncover would destroy more than just them. It would destroy the truth about who I really am, and why my mother chose silence over survival. Good, because this is where the story stops being about pain and starts becoming power. That night, after Semina left my room, I didn't lock the door. I wanted them to think I was still the same girl, careless, unaware, easy to control. But inside, everything had changed. I took out my phone, opened the voice recording I had captured from last night, listened again. Every word, every pause, every crack in their voices. "She was never yours." That sentence echoed differently now. Not just betrayal, but evidence. I sent the recording to him. The man who answered the call. No name, no questions, just him. Within seconds, my phone buzzed. Good. Now you're useful. Useful. Not safe. Not protected. Useful. I smiled because I understood. In this world, value comes before emotion. And I was finally valuable. Come tomorrow, he texted. Alone. No address. Just a location pin. Abandoned building. Edge of the city. No cameras. No neighbors.
Perfect.
The next morning, I dressed like nothing mattered. Simple clothes, neutral face, soft voice. At breakfast, Samina watched me carefully. Too carefully. Where are you going? She asked. I shrugged.
Out.
She smiled.
Fake.
Controlled. Dangerous. Don't be late. I met her eyes and gave her the same smile back. I won't, but we both knew I wasn't talking about time. The building smelled like dust and secrets. Broken windows, silent walls, echoes of things that shouldn't be remembered. He was already there, standing in the shadows, like he belonged to them. Tall, too calm. You took your time, he said. I didn't apologize. Instead, I needed to be sure. He nodded, like he expected that. Good, he said, because what I'm about to tell you, he stepped closer, will either make you powerful or destroy you completely. I didn't move, didn't blink. Try me. He studied me for a moment, then pulled out a file.
Old. Worn.
Heavy.
He handed it to me.
Your mother didn't die in a car accident. I already knew that. But what he said next, she was building a case. My fingers froze on the file. A case against who? I asked. He smiled.
Not kindly.
Everyone sitting at your dinner table. My heart should have raced. My hands should have shaken. But they didn't. Because deep down, I wasn't surprised. She found financial records, fake identities, property transfers. He continued, all linked to one person. Samina, I said. He shook his head slowly.
No.
A pause. Heavy.
Sharp.
Your father. For a second, just 1 second, my world cracked.
Not shattered.
Not broken.
Cracked.
Because pain doesn't destroy you immediately. It leaks in.
Slowly.
You're lying, I said. But my voice didn't believe it. He stepped closer, opened the file, showed me pages, documents, signatures. My father's name, again, and again, and again. This was his operation. The man said quietly, Your mother found out. And he killed her? Silence. Then,
No.
He looked me straight in the eyes. He ordered it. That hurt more, because monsters who kill are easier to understand. But monsters who order it, smile at dinner, ask how your day was, call you beta. I closed the file.
Slowly. Carefully.
What do you want from me?
I asked. He didn't hesitate.
Access. To what?
To them.
To everything they trust. To every secret they think is safe. I laughed. Quiet.
Sharp.
You want me to spy on my own family? He tilted his head. They're not your family. That sentence should have hurt. but instead, it freed me. Why me? I asked. Because you're invisible to them, he said. Because they underestimate you. A pause. Then, because you're exactly like your mother. That was the first time I felt something shift inside me. Not pain, not anger, purpose. Fine, I said. What's the plan? He smiled.
Slow.
Careful. That depends. On what? On how far you're willing to go. I didn't answer immediately, because this wasn't a question about actions. It was a question about identity, who I was, and who I was about to become. After a long silence, I looked at him and said the one thing that sealed everything. I'm not here to expose them. He raised an eyebrow. I'm here to ruin them. That's when he knew. I wasn't a victim anymore. I was a weapon. The next few days were a masterclass in deception. I played my role perfectly. Soft daughter, silent observer, harmless presence. I apologized more, smiled more, talked less. And they loved it, because people don't want truth. They want comfort. And I gave it to them. While quietly, I took everything. Passwords, documents, conversations. Every night, I sent updates. Every day, I became more dangerous. Until one night, everything accelerated. I walked into the living room and saw something I wasn't supposed to see. My father, Samina, and a third man. Not a stranger. The man from the phone. My breath didn't change, but my mind exploded. They knew him, which meant he knew them, which meant I had just walked into something much bigger. Something I didn't control. Something I didn't understand. I stepped back quietly before they noticed me. Heart steady. Face calm, but inside, one thought kept repeating, was I ever the player? Or just another move? And for the first time, since this all began, I wasn't sure. Because in a game built on lies, the most dangerous truth is this: you don't know who's really on your side. Good, because now, everything breaks. That night, I didn't confront them. That would have been stupid, emotional, predictable, and predictable people get destroyed first. So instead, I did what they never expected. I acted normal. I walked into the kitchen, poured water, even made noise on purpose. Let them hear me. Let them think they still controlled the scene. A few seconds later, my father walked in, his face calm, but his eyes searching. "You're awake?" he asked. I smiled slightly. "Couldn't sleep." He nodded, slow, measured. "Don't stay up too late." Same voice, same tone, same lie. And in that moment, I understood something dangerous. The better someone pretends, the more truth they're hiding. I went back to my room, closed the door softly, sat on the floor. No tears, no panic, just thinking. Because now the equation had changed. The man on the phone wasn't an outsider. He was inside, deep inside, which meant one thing. I wasn't being recruited. I was being used. My phone buzzed. A message from him. "Don't react. Tomorrow we move faster." I stared at the screen, then typed something I knew could get me killed. "Why were you in my house?" 3 dots appeared instantly, then disappeared. Then came the reply, "You're asking the wrong question." My jaw tightened. I typed again. "Then what's the right one?" This time, the reply came slower, more careful. "Who benefits from what you're about to do?" I read that line 3 times, because suddenly everything shifted. This wasn't just revenge. It was a setup, and I was standing in the center of it. The next morning, I changed my strategy. No more blind trust. No more easy moves. If they were playing a game, I needed to rewrite the rules. At breakfast, I did something unexpected. I spoke first. "Dad, can we talk later?" Samina looked up immediately, sharp, alert. My father paused, then nodded. "Of course." I smiled,
Soft.
controlled, alone. That word hit exactly where I wanted. Samina's fingers tightened around her cup, just slightly, but enough, because fear is always subtle at first. Later that day, I sat across from my father. Same table, same chairs, same man.
But now,
I could see him clearly, not as a father, as a strategist. "What's on your mind?" he asked. I leaned back slightly, relaxed posture, open body language. People trust what looks safe. "I've been thinking about Mom." His face didn't move. Too controlled. "What about her?" he asked. I tilted my head slightly, as if unsure. "I feel like there's something I don't know." Silence. Then a soft sigh. "You're overthinking." Wrong answer. Too quick. Too dismissive. So I pushed. "I found something." That was the lie. But it worked. Because for the first time, his eyes flickered. Just for a second. But enough. "What did you find?" he asked.
careful now.
Very careful. I leaned forward, lowered my voice, like I was sharing something fragile. A number in her old things. His jaw tightened. There it was. Confirmation. He knew. "Did you call it?" he asked. I paused. Just long enough. Then nodded slowly. "Yes." Silence. Heavy. Dangerous. "And?" he asked. I looked him straight in the eyes. He knew my name. That's when it happened. The mask slipped. Not completely, but enough for me to see the truth underneath.
Fear.
Real fear. And in that moment, I realized something powerful. I wasn't the only one playing, but I wasn't the weakest either. He stood up suddenly. "Stay away from that man," he said. Not a suggestion. An order. I stayed seated,
Calm.
unmoved. "Why?" He didn't answer immediately. Then finally, "Because he's dangerous." I smiled slightly. "So are you." Silence exploded in the room. That was the first direct hit, and it landed perfectly.
He stared at me. Long. Hard.
Trying to read me, but I gave him nothing, because the strongest position is being unreadable. "Where did you learn to talk like that?" he asked quietly. I stood up slowly. "From watching you." And then I walked out. No rush, no fear, just control. That night, everything escalated. Samina came to my room again, but this time, no fake smile, no sweet tone, Just cold truth. What are you doing? She asked. I didn't pretend anymore. I looked at her, steady, focused, surviving. She laughed.
Short, sharp.
You think you're smart? I tilted my head slightly. I think you're scared. Her face hardened instantly. Careful, she whispered. Or what? I asked calmly. She stepped closer. Too close. You'll end up just like your mother. That was the line. The one she shouldn't have crossed. I smiled.
Slowly.
But this time, there was no softness in it. Only intent. No, I said quietly. I'll end up being the reason you wish you never touched her. And for the first time, since I've known her, Samina stepped back. Just one step. But enough. Because power isn't loud. It's felt. Later that night, I got another message. Tomorrow. Final move. I stared at it, then typed one last thing. I know you were in my house. This time, no hesitation. The reply came instantly. Good. One word. No denial. No explanation. Just confirmation. I put the phone down, looked at the ceiling, and finally understood the truth. This wasn't just a game of revenge. It was a war of control. And tomorrow, someone was going to lose everything. But the real question was, would it be them? Or me? Good, because this is where everything ends and everything begins. The next morning felt different. Not louder, not heavier, just sharper. Like every second had meaning. Every word, a consequence. I didn't rush. I got ready slowly, carefully, like someone preparing for something irreversible. Because I was. At breakfast, no one spoke. My father read the newspaper, but didn't turn a single page. Samina stirred her tea, but didn't take a sip. And I just sat there.
Calm. Still.
Because silence is the loudest pressure. Then I said it. I called the lawyer. Both of them froze. Small reaction, but enough. He'll be here in an hour, I added. My father lowered the newspaper slowly. Samina's eyes locked onto mine. What lawyer? She asked. I smiled.
Soft. Deadly.
My mother's. That was the trigger. The room shifted. Energy changed. Because now they knew. Not everything, but enough. An hour later,
the doorbell rang.
I didn't move. Let them open it. Let them feel it. My father walked to the door, opened it, and for the first time in years, I saw him hesitate, because standing outside was the man, the same one, the voice on the phone, the one who knew my name, the one who was in their house. He walked in calmly, like he owned the place. And maybe
he did.
Long time, he said casually, looking straight at my father. Samina went pale, not shocked, recognizing. You shouldn't be here, my father said quietly. And yet the man smiled. I am. I stood up slowly. No more games, I said. Tell me the truth. Silence.
Thick. Heavy.
Then the man looked at me, not cold, not distant, but almost proud. You're ready, he said. For what? I asked. He exhaled slowly. then said the one thing that shattered everything. I'm your real father.
Time didn't stop.
It stretched.
Pulled apart.
Every memory, every moment, every lie rearranged itself in my mind. No, I whispered. But even I didn't believe it. My father, the man I grew up calling Dad.
Didn't deny it.
He didn't fight. He didn't speak. Because silence is confession. Your mother, the man continued, she found out about everything. About the business, about the money, about what they were doing. I looked at Samina. Her face was stone. No guilt, just calculation. She tried to leave, he said softly, but they couldn't allow that. They, I asked. And that's when he looked at both of them. They built everything together. Not just my father.
Not just Samina, but both.
Partners. In everything. And me, I asked quietly. What was I? The answer came from Samina this time.
Cold. Precise.
A liability. That word didn't break me. It clarified me. So you erased me, I said. Slowly. She didn't deny it. Because truth isn't scary when you think you've already won. But you made one mistake, I continued. Both of them looked at me, waiting. You let me stay. Silence.
Then
I smiled, because now it was my turn. I know everything, I said calmly. Accounts, properties, fake identities. My father's eyes widened. Just slightly, but enough. And I didn't just find it. I paused, let it breathe. I secured it. The man, my real father, watched me carefully, understanding.
pride.
What did you do? My father asked. For the first time, he sounded afraid. I stepped forward, looked him straight in the eyes, and said it. I didn't destroy you. A pause. I made sure you destroy yourselves. That's when the door opened again.
Police.
Officials. Legal authorities. Samina's face finally cracked. Not anger.
Fear.
Real fear. You, she whispered. I tilted my head slightly. Leverage, I said softly. Because that's what my mother left me. Not money. Not protection.
Power.
Within minutes, everything collapsed. Accounts frozen. Documents seized. Voices raised. Masks gone. My father tried to speak, to explain, to reach me, but I stepped back, out of his world, for the first time,
Completely.
Samina didn't beg. She just stared at me, like she finally understood what she created. And then they were gone, just like that. Years of control, power, manipulation, ended in minutes. The house felt empty,
Silent.
but not peaceful. Because some wars don't end with victory. They end with truth. I turned to him, the man who claimed to be my real father. Why now? I asked. Why help me? He looked at me quietly, then said, Because your mother made me promise. A pause. That when you were ready, I wouldn't stop you. I nodded slowly,
Processing.
accepting. And now? I asked. He smiled slightly. That depends on you. I looked around the house. the memories, the lies.
The past.
Then I looked back at him, and for the first time, I didn't feel like a victim. I didn't feel broken. I didn't feel lost. I felt in control. I'm not done, I said quietly, because this wasn't just revenge. It was transformation. And people like me, we don't just survive. We take over.